All right, you and I are about to dive into a wild new story called Standing Beside the Hero. Hit like and subscribe. It is the day Alistair Valerius, the younger brother of the current king, arrives at the chilling northern fortress of Duke Rothwood. He is an illegitimate prince, born from a bloodline that has faced nothing but discrimination since the previous king ruled the land. People might think he is harmless, but Alistair is special. Legend says the Valerius royals carry a cursed wolf blood within their veins. He is the first wolf born in 300 years, a fact that caused a massive, bloody uprising within the entire kingdom. To make things worse, the current king slaughtered everyone who dared suggest that Alistair should be the true heir to the throne. Now pay attention here, that includes the former king. Yet, the new monarch could not bring himself to actually kill the boy. Alistair is the manifestation of the ancient wolf after 3 centuries. Who knows what kind of misfortune follows a creature like him? So the king hid the boy in a frozen wasteland, tormenting him until he reached the age of 10, hoping he would simply vanish. Instead, he was banished to the north, where the cold Duke Rothwood lives with his children in a castle of pure stone. Our young lady seems to know him far better than a normal 10-year-old girl ever should, despite her own siblings' constant bullying. While they mock her, she introduces the Rothwood family. The Duke had 7 children, but most of them met a grisly end. The first son hunted demons in the dead of winter and never returned. Her father did not even blink at the tragic news. He might look handsome and noble, but the Duke is just as heartless as the king. The second son was murdered by poison. I know what you are thinking. It gets worse. The third daughter ended her life under the Duke's crushing, soul-breaking pressure. The 6th child died very young. To the Duke, his own flesh and blood are nothing more than tools for his cold ambition. Only 3 remain. The 4th sister Cordelia, the 5th brother Julian, and our 7th sibling, the adorable and mysterious lady of the house. That morning, their father tells them to discard all human emotions if they ever hope to inherit his powerful northern throne. The king sent Alistair to this nest of sociopaths, specifically because he expects the Duke's legendary cruelty to finish the boy off. Of course, Alistair is, actually, it is way too early to reveal that secret. Our little heroine is busy ignoring her nasty siblings. She just walks away while they mock her, showing a level of composure that is totally unnatural for such a small child. Trust me, you and I are about to see that this 10-year-old is way more mature than she looks. Stick with me. You and I are diving into a story where our girl woke up inside the very novel she just read. She is stuck playing a minor character with absolutely zero impact, but she is glad she at least knows exactly how this story ends. Lord Alistair will eventually fulfill his dark ambitions and crush everyone under his boots, so her plan is simple. Just stay quiet and hide. She just needs to stay near the protagonist, but suddenly, the familiar voice of a young boy echoes from right outside her room. It is Alistair. Panicking, she stays silent until he leaves, then rushes to bolt the door before anyone else can try to come inside. Now watch this. Someone grabs the handle first and swings it open, bringing her face to face with a very striking young noble lord. He has shimmering silver hair and piercing violet eyes. Honestly, he does not look like a terrifying villain at all right now. He is actually adorable, but her quiet life is officially over. Looking closer, he is definitely one handsome and dangerous young noble boy. In the future, that face will lead 10 of his fiancées to their deaths, so she cannot afford to make even one mistake. Suddenly, Alistair grabs her hand and tells her she is beautiful. I mean, he is not wrong, but this kid is being bold. Little Elena is stunned as he mentions her resemblance to her father, the Duke, before demanding to know what her full name is. She introduces herself as Lady Elena Rhodes, shocked to realize he already knows far too much about her and her secret family life. And get this, he skips all titles and just calls her Elena. Then, he starts judging her room for being way too dark. The room is simple, but she prefers it this way compared to her previous life. Right now, she just wants him gone. Instead, he looks her in the eye, calls her completely useless, and struts away, leaving poor Alina sitting on the floor in shock. She wonders what his problem is, while Alistair walks away thinking of her golden eyes, the greatest treasure of the entire Rhodes family. He cannot stop thinking about how stunning she looks. "Excuse me, young sir, maybe try an apology before giving her more compliments." He realizes she looks incredibly vulnerable right now, but in his cold mind, she is still just a useless girl to him. Shortly after, Duke Rhodes introduces Alistair to the entire court, and that is when Alina notices something very strange happening with his gaze. The legendary golden eyes of House Rhodes never lie, as they possess the rare ability to read the hidden feelings of every person. This power, passed down through generations, allows them to see true emotions. The brighter the gold glows, the stronger the magical gift becomes. Even the Duke uses this power to win his battles. Trust me, you and I are about to see how dangerous this world becomes. Stick with me. He leads House Rhodes as Duke Radcliffe formally introduces himself as Cyrus's tutor, and Lady Alina can't help but stare. All right, let's dive into the story of a girl, reborn with eyes, that can literally feel human emotions. Constance forces her way into the conversation, and the Duke hands things over, coldly calling Alara useless as he walks past. Alara trembles with pure humiliation, knowing the Duke only hates her because of her eyes that are far too unique even for their lineage. These perfect golden eyes possess an unprecedented and terrifying power, allowing her to see the true nature of every emotion from every single angle imaginable. When she sees these visible emotions, her body actually physically feels them, which is why people doubt her power whenever her own expression stays completely calm. Suddenly, Constance picks a fight with Silas, obsessed with the idea that she must always be at the top of their petty social hierarchy. She demands he bow down, even though Silas is no longer under the Emperor's protection, treating him like he's nothing more than a slave. Alara is dying to know what happens next, but then she realizes it's probably safer for her to just slip away unnoticed. However, as she tries to leave, she gets a chilling sensation that someone is secretly following her through the dark halls. Now pay attention here, because Constance is fuming with a bright red aura of pure rage as Silas walks away. Constance turns her fury toward Alara, pointing fingers and trying to trap her sister in a corner just to satisfy her own ego. To her siblings, Alara is just an insect, completely excluded from the fake social hierarchy they've built to flatter their own vanity. The Duke explicitly told Constance not to touch her, but she's determined to tear Alara's golden eyes out once and for all. It must be jealousy, because Alara's eyes are actually treated well by the Duke, while Alara herself only suffers from his cruelty. Out of habit, she closes her eyes to protect her golden treasure from the world, a defense mechanism against her father's constant malice. She never even wanted this gift, especially since seeing someone's hatred causes her actual physical pain, making her body react in fear every single time. Silas can't stand seeing her tremble in fear anymore, so he finally speaks up, demanding to know why Constance is speaking so rudely to him. That's it, Silas. Show them who's really in charge. Alara can finally sense a flicker of emotion coming from him. Her eyes feel his slight annoyance, but more importantly, he's able to shut Constance down and throw her off with just a few words. Now that Constance is being treated like trash, she looks completely humiliated as Silas grabs her arm and walks away. Alara managed to escape her cruel siblings thanks to Silas, but she still just wants to be alone in the quiet attic to avoid any more drama. However, Silas keeps following her around, and even though she wants to ignore him, he's making it impossible to stay silent. She has no choice but to confront him now, because she absolutely cannot let a boy follow her all the way into her small, private room. You and I can see right through him, can't we? He's shocked she turned around, looking like a surprised 10-year-old boy. But our little hero already knows exactly where she's headed, and he's definitely planning to follow her every single step of the way. Alara taps her feet in frustration, but suddenly, Silas starts emitting a bright, joyous aura and begins to laugh at her. Who knew the cold Sela's Hyperion could actually laugh? Even more annoyed now, Alara stomps up the stairs to get away from him. But she's quickly humbled when Sela's opens the door to his own room, which happens to be the lowest ranked one in the house. They're neighbors. Alara is mortified as she realizes her mistake, quickly saying goodbye before rushing into her own room to hide her face. Before he goes inside, Sela's doesn't forget to wish her a good night's sleep, leaving her absolutely dying of embarrassment behind her door. Who wouldn't be embarrassed? She thought he was stalking her, but it turns out they were just going to the exact same place. Even if her father doesn't care about her, it still feels wrong to have a boy living right next door to her room. Relax, Alara. You're both only 10 years old, so nothing crazy is going to happen yet. Right. Thinking back, the way Constance acted earlier proves the Duke only cares about protecting Alara's life because he needs her special eyes. He never treated her like a daughter from the start. In her past life, Alara was deaf but could still read everything. That's how she knew the story of Sela's Hyperion, but before she could finish the novel, she was reincarnated as Duke Sterling's youngest daughter. The Duke is famous for his absolute brutality, and seeing him in person made Alara wonder why she was born into this mess. In the original story, Sela's was the perfect male lead, a cold hero who defeated everyone in his path to achieve his goals. He was a mass-market protagonist driven by pure malice, and he was far too cruel to ever follow a path of romance. There was no female lead, because his only goal was becoming the strongest in the world and destroying Duke Sterling for using him. The Duke had tried to force his fourth daughter on Sela's for marriage, and even though it was a dark ending, it was satisfying. Duke Sterling raised Sela's like a complete lunatic, proving he was a terrible madman. But everything changed when he first saw Alara. He smiled and called her perfect. He even named her and ordered the servants to provide her with everything she could ever need. It's so strange. The madman from the novel was actually giving her special care, visiting her, and making sure she lacked for nothing. And that's where we leave it for now, trust me. This mystery is just getting started. Stick with me. You and I are diving into a dark manor where one girl's life just turned into a nightmare. She thought she was the lead until the Duke ordered everyone out, and his aura shifted into a raging, dark mist. Pure black smoke erupted as poor Alina shook with fear, desperately wishing her father would just reach out and pat her head. But the Duke offered no comfort. Instead, he reached for her neck and started choking the life out of her right then. Before losing consciousness, she heard him say she might run now that he knew she possessed the legendary golden eyes. Cruel tests followed as the House of Rode tried to verify if her eyes were real, turning her life into a living hell. Despite the constant threats, she kept smiling because she was too terrified to admit her father had become a monster. Watching Sirius's pure joy earlier felt like a lifetime ago, a stark contrast to the soul-crushing darkness she has to endure. Everything felt pointless. The Duke did not want a daughter. He only wanted the power hidden inside those golden eyes. She just has to survive a bit longer. Soon, Sirius will arrive to end everyone's life, including her own anyway. Now pay attention here. Suddenly, she hears the sound of muffled sobbing coming from the room where Sirius is staying. Even with his brave face, the boy was still crying himself to sleep when he thought no one was watching him. Alina wondered what could be causing such pain, debating if she should offer comfort or just stick to her original plan. She could not risk changing the story, but Sirius was the only person she could truly relate to in this cold castle. Opening the door, she hesitated. If she comforted him, would it jeopardize the entire future she had already planned? For the fall of the Rode family to happen smoothly, she could not allow any major changes in Sirius's heart. They were not even close friends yet, so she resisted the urge to visit him, even though the guilt was overwhelming. She did not get a single wink of sleep, trapped in a random nightmare where terrifying monsters hunted her down. Worrying was a waste of energy, since Sirius was the main character, destined to carve out a better future than anyone. You saw this coming. When she opens her door for breakfast, there is Sirius, sitting by the window waiting for her. Alina's confidence was shattered. She doubted that anyone in this house could actually think of her in a nice way. Sirius just kept looking at her in silence, his eyes fixed on the little girl who felt so completely alone. Even with that poker face, he looked adorable. Alina decided her best move was to just ignore him for now. But then Sirius asked if she slept well. She clearly had not, but there was no way she would admit it. She started wondering if crying all night had somehow made him kinder, though she knew that was probably just a delusion. Still, he looked remarkably happy, so she assumed he must have just been crying in his dreams instead of reality. As they headed to the dining room, she noticed he looked even more handsome today, despite his messy morning hair. He was currently smaller than her, but she knew he would eventually tower over everyone. For now, he was just cute. In the dining hall, the family had already finished. In the Road family, Alina was forced to wait for leftovers. She honestly did not care if the family crumbled as long as she could trust Sirius to handle the fallout. Suddenly, a familiar scent caught her off guard. It had been ages since any decent food was left for her. Sirius tried to stop her from going to the kitchen, but Alina knew no servants would ever come to help her. So she decided to show him how she prepared her own meals without a single hand from the castle staff. Sirius claimed to like how simple it was, leaving Alina shocked that a boy of royal blood was not complaining. Just as she was about to eat, she noticed he was just staring at her without even lifting his spoon once. She was so hungry right now, but how could she eat when someone was watching her exactly like that? Good heavens, say something. Alina finally realized why he was staring at her without saying a single word. He was waiting for her to greet him before speaking. It all started after their goodnight talk the previous evening. He is just too cute, but why is he so worked up about waiting for a morning greeting from her? Alina started imagining him as a greeting fairy, with the sunlight dancing off his silver hair like a beautiful dream. But beneath that, he was still a young beast destined to make the world pay dearly for everything they did. Unlike her, he would not cling to others. Oh, do not talk like that about yourself, little girl. She could not wait for the time when he would protect her, just like how he handled Courtney last time. The crying from last night still worried her, but then he suddenly stood up and walked away without a word. And that is where we leave it. Watch as Alina witnesses Sirius starting his very first day. All right, stick with me, because you are about to witness the darkest family secrets in this entire kingdom. Alina needs to relax, but she is basically trapped with nothing to do but watch the knights train in the yard. Ever since the Duke cut her off from his love, everyone in the manor expected her to simply fade away. But unlike her brother who was left to die in the cold, the Duke actually sent a doctor for her. The servants are totally lost and have no clue how to treat her, so they just decided on a strange plan. They treat her like a ghost, and honestly, being a living spirit is getting pretty boring for our girl. Back at training, young Sirius is a natural with a blade, moving his small body with the skill of a veteran. With vision beyond any normal human and a wild instinct, there is no question about it. This kid is a monster. But the Duke is not impressed. He stops the boy, clearly annoyed by the performance, and orders his men forward. They bring out a heavy training tool that is hard to handle, but the Duke swings his sword with lethal grace. He strikes the target in a blur. His movements are perfect, but now it is time for Sirius to take the stage. He manages to hit the mark with controlled power, but the Duke just calls him ignorant. What more do you want? Suddenly, the Duke moves toward the boy, and that one single motion triggers a wave of absolute terror inside poor Alina. Now pay attention here, because this is where the trauma hits. As the Duke raises his hand, Alina completely collapses in fear. If she knew things would turn this dark, she never would have come out to watch this brutal display of power. After years of enduring her father's violence, seeing it happen to someone else is just too much. No, stop it. She covers her ears with trembling hands and flees to her room, whispering to herself that she cannot take any more. That night, she is a total wreck, shaking like a scared puppy and regretting that she did not even eat dinner. She has not heard from him yet, but she tries to stay calm since the story says he should survive this. Sirius is supposed to be unbreakable, but then a loud thud echoes from his room, followed by a very painful groan. Even without seeing him, she knows the agony he is in. It is much worse than she ever imagined. In this story, the Emperor wants the boy dead, giving the Duke full permission to end his life whenever he pleases. His screams of pain are unbearable, and Alina realizes she cannot just sit there and do nothing. She has to help. She worries that interfering might ruin his future victory, but seeing him suffer like this is something she just cannot allow. To calm her nerves, she tells herself that saving him is just insurance for her own survival in this house of horrors. Befriending him is dangerous, especially since he is currently out of his mind with pain and likely to attack anyone. He is incredibly cautious of anyone trying to help, but she still slowly creeps toward his door to check his condition. Let us pause for a second, because what she finds inside that room is enough to make anyone's blood run cold. The poor boy is shivering on the floor, clutching his broken shoulders while covered in thick layers of dirt and grime. His body is a map of bruises, and he is barely conscious. How could the Duke be so heartless toward a child? Luckily, Alina has some medicine. She needs to move fast, or her only hope for a future ally is going to die. There is zero time to waste. She starts a frantic search through her room for anything that can help the prince. She rushes back to find the prince still passed out, his life hanging by a very thin, fragile thread. Driven by the need to survive this family, she jumps into full nurse mode to make sure her insurance policy lives. She works quietly, desperate to keep him asleep, so they can avoid a very awkward conversation once the sun comes up. Our young lady carefully rolls him onto his back and finally sees the true horror of what her father is doing. It is heartbreaking. Every single inch of the young prince is covered in deep cuts and dark bruises from the beating. To make things even worse, he is burning up with a lethal fever. That Duke is a monster for doing this. House Road has gone too far. Seriously, karma is coming for that vile creature for what he did to a child. Even his small hands are battered. Alina starts by using a cold towel to try and bring his high temperature down. Even while unconscious, the poor boy flinches at her touch. It just shows how much pain is locked in his body. Being as gentle as possible, Alina manages to get him to swallow the medicine and begins cleaning his many open wounds. Most of the heavy work is done, and she finally sees the fever start to break as the prince settles down. In the moonlight, he looks like a peaceful angel, as if the world had not just tried its best to break him. And that is where we leave it. But trust me, those broken hands prove this story is only getting started. Alina tends to Prince Sirius while he sleeps, applying a soothing balm to his badly swollen hands to help. Seeing him cry again makes her rethink his role. You and I are seeing a side he hides. She cannot believe this boy is destined to be a cruel monster, a man cold enough to survive his family. The novel described him as relentless, yet here he is, shedding tears in the dark of night. Alina realizes he only lets his guard down when alone. Right now, he looks so young and innocent. In a gentle moment, she holds his hands to comfort him, staying by his side a bit longer. Morning arrives, and Sirius is already waiting. Stick with me, their dynamic is changing fast. He is acting strangely, asking too many questions about how she slept. It is out of character. She is certain he was out cold last night, but his persistent questioning is making her sweat. He falls silent again. She jokingly wonders if he is a demon, considering his fast recovery. Even though he is a bit wobbly, Alina feels a wave of relief. He will be okay. That relief brings a genuine smile to her face, the first real one in a long time. I hope their relationship develops even more from now on. The peace does not last. Breakfast is served in heavy silence, and Alina starts to worry. She feels a bit silly for being so anxious. It seems like nothing special will happen. He does not say a single word while she serves. Is he ignoring her again? It is like he can read her mind. Sirius finally speaks up, telling her to follow. He gives no explanation and walks away. She is left wondering what is going on. She is confused and does not want to go, but he is her only insurance. Pay attention here, because he leads her somewhere unexpected, the royal archery range for practice. Sirius expects her to wait. She decides to sit under the shade of the trees. She does not want to ruin her hard work from last night, so she stays quiet. Deep down, she is actually anxious. The thought of her father showing up is terrifying. Her father is a man shrouded in a suffocating dark aura, someone to avoid. For now, she finds peace in the golden light filtering through the leaves. She remembers his cold stare from their first meeting. He thought she was useless. But as the youngest of House Valerius, she has grown numb to that pain. Her secret plan is still in motion. All she has to do is wait. The lack of sleep from her good deed catches up. Drowsiness pulls at her. Elena drifts off. Then, suddenly, the scent of blood hits her nose. Don't blink. She snaps her eyes open. There stands the young prince, covered in fresh blood. Panic sets in. She is terrified he is injured, but then she sees his eyes. His aura isn't one of pain, it is excitement. He is glowing with thrill. He offers her his hand. She takes it, but she is totally flustered. In a moment of chaos, she blurts out she wants to pat his head. Sirius looks at her, confused. He acts like a child waiting for validation. He stares with a tiny smile. I know what you're thinking, it is adorable. He tells her to hurry up and praise him. How can he be this cute? Elena is frozen in shock. She cannot understand the contrast between his smile and gore. How can an affectionate expression come from someone so bloody? It is absolutely insane. Still, she reaches out. She gently pats the young prince on the head as requested. The tension remains. She wonders if he likes this because he goes stoic again. That cold mask is back. It is like the sweet moment never happened. Trust me, you and I are going to love where this story goes next. Luckily, the silence returns. Stick with me. You are about to watch a young prince turn into a total monster hunter. He skipped his lessons because of a biased knight, choosing to fight a wild beast instead. The beast was captured by House Road. How dangerous. That explains why he is covered in blood. This did not change her mind. To her, he is still a boy born for bloodshed. But then, she catches Sirius staring intensely at her again. What is this kid's problem? If you have something to say, little prince, speak up. His eyes suddenly look so soft. He gazes at her until, just as suddenly, he stands and walks away without a word. Elena wonders what he wanted, but she is just glad to finally be back in her room. Now pay attention, because things are about to get even darker for our hero. But a few days later, she is back in his room, finding him in even worse shape. Apparently, the Duke was impressed by his skills and made him spar with his son, Joseph. Joseph was terrified of losing his father's favor, so he struck before the countdown even started. Sirius dodged the killing blow, but the blade still managed to slice deep into his side. The Duke praised Sirius while punishing Joseph, but the damage was already done to the boy. Worse yet, Joseph made sure no doctor would come to help him. These people are monsters. Seriously, the Duke is traumatizing these kids for no reason. He is going to regret this later. So, Elena starts fixing his bandages herself, at least until a hand grabs her arm tight. Sirius was awake the whole time. Those piercing blue eyes have Elena frozen in her tracks. He grabs her hand, even though he is the one bleeding out in his own royal bed. It is ironic, but Elena is the one panicking here. His grip is like iron on hers. You and I both know she wants to run, but get this, he won't let go. Her first thought is to escape, but he won't let her. He demands an explanation. Frantic, she cannot find an excuse for being there. She tries to bolt, but he pulls. The prince pulls her arms so hard, she is about to topple right onto his bed. And sure enough, he drags this daughter of House Road right on top of him. Their faces are inches apart. At first, she is just glad she did not hit his wounds. But as they get closer, she realizes just how awkward and intense this whole situation is. Her brain is scrambling for an excuse, anything to break this heavy, silent tension between them. She covers his eyes and tells him this is all a dream, not her finest move. Even while injured, The prince manages a small smile at her pathetic attempt to explain things. Looking at his innocent smile, you would never guess he was destined to become a villain. He laughs as she rants about how this will all be gone by morning. Eventually, he lets go and drifts off. Alina tries to escape back to her sanctuary, but she decides to keep helping him. If he survives, he can destroy this cursed family. With her golden eyes, she can see if he is truly turning into that evil man. But life is funny. As she is about to find out, things never go as planned. Waking up the next day, she plots her escape, hoping he won't kill her just yet. If he becomes that bloodthirsty hero, she still has some time before the real chaos begins. She opens the door, and the metallic smell of fresh blood hits her nose immediately. Sirius is sitting by the window, blood dripping from his bandages, but he is just smiling. His upbeat attitude is baffling. He has a warm aura, despite the gore on his clothes. He motions for her to go to breakfast. She just cannot understand this boy is resilience. He seems mentally unstable to her, but maybe she is just being a bit too harsh. Anyway, her confidence in reading his true nature is starting to fade away now. And that is where we leave it. Trust me, you are going to want to see what happens next. Stick with me. Alina is now stuck with a bizarrely happy Prince Arthur matching her every stride. He asks if she has something to say while serving the broth himself. Arthur even offers a polite blessing before their meal starts. All of this leaves Alina totally baffled. Even if Arthur thinks last night was just a dream, his sudden kindness makes zero sense. Just as her appetite fades, a sudden knock echoes at the door. It turns out the Duke ordered fine steaks for the young prince. These were meant as a reward for his recent progress. Alina tries to keep her composure and simply focus on eating her own portion. But Arthur surprises her again, carving a piece of his own meat for her with a warm smile as he watches her eat. He suddenly reveals that Alina had appeared in his dreams recently. This news sets the poor girl's mind into a complete and total tailspin. She considers feigning ignorance, but decides to play it safe by asking him for more details about these mysterious visions he had. He admits it has happened more than once. In fact, in one dream, she held his hand through the darkness of the entire night. The prince doesn't reveal much more than that, however, which only serves to annoy Alina as she tries to process everything he said. She is so visibly bothered that Arthur realizes every emotion she feels is written clearly on her face for the whole world to see. The prince sees that every emotion she feels is written clearly on her face. He believes that what he truly wants is finally coming true. He shares a second smile, glowing with a pure, innocent, and incredibly happy aura. Now, pay attention. You and I need to look back at this story through young Prince Arthur's eyes to understand. Years ago, a golden carriage from the capital arrived at the Duke of Rothwell's palace, carrying a young Arthur who was filled with hope. Peeking at his new home, he felt he had finally escaped the cruel grip of the royal family and their cold, dark castle. For the first time, he was away from his terrifying older brother and no longer had to fear finding poison in his daily meals. In this new chapter of his life, the boy began to dream of a world where he could wake up to friendly greetings. He longed to eat meals together with people his age, sleep in total peace, and even receive a kind goodnight before he drifted off. Essentially, Arthur just wanted a normal life. Unfortunately, he soon discovered that such a dream was impossible under the Duke of Rothwell's roof. He escaped the palace only to find the same darkness here. Everyone in the mansion looked at him with pure malice in their eyes. So, young Arthur felt forced to fight that hostility with his own coldness. It was a tragic plan for such a lonely, poor child. But everything changed when he met a girl. Despite being a Rothwell, she did not act like the rest of her cruel, cold family. At first, he enjoyed teasing her. Since his face was always expressionless, no one could tell that he was secretly laughing and giggling inside. However, Alina managed to pull a real reaction out of him. Unbeknownst to her, she was slowly breaking through the walls around his heart. When she wished him a good night, one of his oldest dreams finally came true, even though he had long given up hope. I know how you feel. My heart aches for him too. But the memory of that moment jolts him back to the present. Back in the present, Arthur notices Elynar is upset, even though she claims that nothing is actually wrong. Elynar sees his happy aura suddenly shift into a depressing blue. Even with her power to read hearts, his mind remains a total mystery. Though she can read hearts, Elynar admits she has no idea what he's thinking. She just wants to escape the awkwardness. To settle her stomach, Elynar decides to drink some water. But in her haste, she starts choking and coughing quite loudly. Most unexpectedly, Arthur moves with lightning speed to her side. He is clearly worried as he reaches out to check on her health. Elynar is shocked by his quick movements, but manages to say she is fine. Arthur, however, refuses to let the topic drop so easily. He starts asking follow-up questions about what caused her to choke, and if she might be falling ill right before his very eyes. His purple eyes now look as soft as a puppy's as he stares. Elynar finds it strange that he actually seems concerned about her well-being. He non-ently comments that she is truly weak. Elynar simply replies that she was born that way, and it is normal for her. Those words seem to strike a chord in Arthur. He looks down at his own wounds, which are already healing due to his bloodline. Despite seeing Elynar as the most fragile person he has ever known, he notes that her constant attempts to help him are truly special. He stares at her intently, realizing there is a much deeper meaning when he calls her weak. It is not an insult at all. Anyway, Arthur admits to himself that he was fully aware of Elynar helping him through those long, difficult nights at the Rothwell estate. Calling her weak isn't an insult. Arthur admits in his private thoughts that he is fully aware of her secret help. He knew Elynar was the one helping him survive those long, cold nights. He understands that kindness usually has a hidden price. Having lived such a brutal life, he knows pure selflessness is rare. But he truly believes Elynar is the one sole exception. He recalls her holding his hand as they slept. Trust me, you and I are watching a legendary love story begin. Maybe the prince left a clue that he knew of her kindness by suggesting she should take the last piece. Panic sets in when Elynar sees the medicine in her room. Before she can flee Radcliffe Manor, Prince Sirius stops her. He invites her to watch him train with a charming smile. Elynar finds herself waiting by the forest edge, wondering what comes next. Stick with me, because she suddenly stumbles upon Lord Joseph in the woods. He is wearing squire's gear as a lowly punishment. Joseph tries to bully his youngest sister. However, his tactics fail because Elynar has frozen due to someone appearing behind him. It is Prince Sirius. Joseph is stunned to see the royal, who he thought was still bedridden from his recent injuries. In his shock, Joseph accidentally touches the prince's shoulder. A murderous aura explodes from Sirius as he demands who allowed this. Joseph snaps and tries to strike the young prince. But before things get worse, the Duke of Radcliffe arrives on the scene. The Duke's eyes are as cold as ice. The situation instantly shifts as the children realize their father is watching them. A single word from the Duke freezes them all. Elynar notes that his voice is calm but incredibly heavy with absolute authority. She hates being in her father's presence. She does not blame Sirius, though knowing the boy was likely unaware of the Duke's arrival. Speaking of the devil, Sirius steps forward. He places himself directly between the Duke's cold gaze and the trembling Elynar for protection. As Elynar shrivels under her father's pressure, the prince acts. He claims the loud commotion was just him asking Joseph some questions. The Duke seems to find this lie quite amusing. Now, pay attention here, because he starts drilling Joseph about the truth. Like Elynar, Joseph cowers before their father. Under the Duke's heavy presence, he is forced to lie about the royal encounter. The Duke just smiles. Through her golden eyes, Elynar sees that her father's aura is more about curiosity than actual anger. Still, he orders Joseph to follow him at once. This leaves Elynar and Sirius alone to do as they wish for today. As soon as the Duke leaves, Sirius grabs Elynar's hand. He starts leading her away before she can even speak a word. She wonders where they are going. However, she realizes that being with Sirius actually calms her down after that intense standoff. Even though he couldn't block the Duke's voice, he still protected her. His desire to help is clear to her now. Alina knows the future could be dangerous because of this. Yet, Sirius leads her back toward the safety of the main house. He asks where she would like to go. Alina reflexively answers the library, trying to push him away to be alone. She hopes they won't spend the entire day together. She wants to browse the books in peace, far from the drama. Her plans crumble when she sees Sirius's puppy dog face. You and I know exactly how hard it is to say no. He asks if he can at least wait outside the doors. Alina finally enters the library and starts to feel sane again. She questions why she is so weak for a cute face. She paces back and forth, doubting her own resolve. She reminds herself that no matter how cute he is now, he will eventually grow up to destroy the entire empire. In the novel, the prince had countless engagements forced by the emperor. Every woman he met was captivated by his looks. From his noble fiancées to the assassins sent to kill him, everyone loved him. He was the perfect, handsome male lead. But that doesn't make it fair for him to be this adorable as a child. Alina decides to focus on her reading. She takes her time among the shelves. Surely Sirius hasn't waited this long. She decides to check on him like a human. Suddenly, a familiar voice calls out to her. Joseph is back, and he is radiating a dark, menacing energy right now. Having just been scolded by the Duke, Joseph is in a foul mood. He hands Alina a long, cloth-covered object. He tells her it is from their father and to give it to the prince. When she asks what it is, he snaps. He calls her a worm for questioning him. Joseph is an entitled brat and the embodiment of everything vile in this world. He raises the object to hit her, but a hand stops him. Sirius is here, and he looks absolutely furious right now. Alina notices the prince's cheeks are flushed red. He apologizes for coming in, even though she told him to stay outside. This makes Alina feel incredibly guilty. Sirius gently touches her head and tells her to just wait for a second. Chaos breaks loose immediately. Sirius turns toward the fleeing Joseph and hurls the long, heavy object directly at his back. Joseph refuses to apologize for his actions. Sirius is done being nice. His purple eyes glint with a very dangerous light. He kicks the boy, who is twice his size. Alina realizes Sirius is blushing because he is excited to be violent. Joseph is too prideful to show his pain. Trust me, you and I are watching a legend being born right here. He touches her head and tells her to wait. Then Sirius turns to the leaving Joseph and throws the long object. It strikes, but Joseph won't apologize. Sirius is not having it, his purple eyes glinting viciously as he moves. He kicks the boy twice his size. Alina realizes Sirius is blushing because he is excited to be violent. Joseph is too prideful to show he is hurt, but you and I know this little menace is just getting started. All right, you and I are about to see this noble bully get exactly what he truly deserves. Julian finally realizes how much terrifying power is hidden in Silas's small frame as he begs him to stop. The boy is terrified his bones will snap, but Silas just smirks and tightens his grip on the coward. He hurls him into the bookshelf with zero mercy. Honestly, after all that bullying, Julian had it coming. Silas is fuming because Julian dared to touch Alara, a girl he's already claimed as his own property. That is a bold claim, Silas. Are you even sure Lady Alara knows about your little obsession? He keeps raining down blows and even grinds his boot into Julian's wrist without a hint of hesitation. The bully is horrified that this kid is so violent, while his face remains completely blank and cold. Silas casually ignores his apologies, ready to snap his arm, until he notices Alara trembling in the corner. She is pale and shaking on the floor, causing Silas to immediately drop everything and rush to her. It turns out she's not hurt, just traumatized by the brutal scene she just witnessed right before her eyes. Alara realizes he only did this to protect her, so she tries to hide her fear and stay calm. She insists she is fine, but Silas just scolds her for being so incredibly. All right, you and I are about to see Alaric carry Alara away like it is nothing. How strong is this kid? Despite the sheer awkwardness, his warmth is comforting and she drifts off quickly. She only wakes once they reach her chambers. He sets her down gently, and realizing she forgot her manners, she bows low to express her sincere and heartfelt gratitude. Alaric is just glad she looks healthy again. Then, proving how truly dense he is, he asks if he should go break Julian's wrist. He says it like it is the most normal thing in the world, but Alara has seen enough bloodshed for one day. She tells him her brother has suffered enough already. Before she can head inside, Alaric stops her with a sudden, serious request. He wants her to go with him to see the Duke. Why would he suddenly want to face her father like this? Seeing her hesitation, he holds out his hand. If she is afraid, they can go together. He is not letting her go alone. Honestly, I think you and I can agree he is such a sweetheart, even if we do not know what he is thinking. Alaric is determined to go even if she stays behind. Not wanting him to face that monster alone, she decides to follow him. Meanwhile, Duke Blackwood and Corinne are discussing Julian's humiliating defeat. The Duke is disgusted that Alaric made it look so easy. He is disappointed that even with his personal training, Julian was bested. In a rage, the Duke hurls a candle across the room. It narrowly misses Corinne. She flinches but stands her ground. She needs her father's favor if she ever hopes to be the heir. To her shock, the Duke declares he would rather have Alaric as a son, given the boy's terrifying natural talent for combat. Wow, Father of the Year, right? Trust me, you and I are going to hate this Duke by the end. Even though the Emperor ordered the boy's death, having a Wolfheart heir in his grasp is too good an opportunity to pass up. He plans to bind Alaric to House Sterling forever through the power of a strategic marriage. Just then, Alaric and Alara arrive. He dismisses Corinne immediately and lets the two children enter his study for an official audience. He notices how Alaric stares him down without a hint of fear, but when he looks at Alara, only pure disgust. This guy is truly vile. No matter how handsome he looks, the way he treats Alara is just unforgivable. The boy has come to claim the reward he was promised. The Duke agreed to give him anything he desired earlier. Now, don't blink, because what he demands next is going to change everything for us. Watch closely. Trust me, you and I are about to uncover the twisted secrets of House Rhodes, starting with the Duke as he smirks, knowing a marriage of affection will bind Sirius even closer to his bloodline than any political alliance could. Alina is finally useful now. Killing her real father was worth it. Wait, did he really just say that? Let us look back 10 years. Hugo Rhodes stood before a cold, dark cell, staring at his broken brother, Linus. Seeing his own face reflected in that suffering man actually made the cold-hearted Hugo feel nothing but disgust. Now, pay attention here. These two were half-brothers who looked identical, yet Linus still held onto a gentle smile. He told his cruel captor that his child had just been born, a beautiful daughter born with that same sad smile. Linus promised his beloved Stacy they would name her Alina, but House Rhodes has a very strict, dark rule. No illegitimate children can carry the bloodline to keep power from scattering, but Linus decided to break that rule. They ran away together, and you and I are about to discover the tragic reason they were finally caught. All right, you and I are diving into a story of betrayal. Stacy was pregnant when they broke her lover's legs. The girl was born with golden eyes, so Hugo claimed her as his own daughter to steal her royal power. Since the mother was gone, he suggested to the council that he adopt Alina to save her from certain shame. To keep his secrets, Lonus had to die. Without a single moment of hesitation, the broken man agreed to it. He sacrificed everything so his daughter could live. My heart goes out to him, and now Alina is with a monster. Hugo ran his sword through his own brother, mocking him as a fool. Lonus just thanked him, showing he was better. Lonus was a much better man than Hugo ever could be, so Alina grew up as the Duke's golden-eyed daughter. Those eyes were meant to see into the future and red hearts, but no matter what he did, the child failed. He even threatened her life, but she just suffered. Seriously, you are going to get exactly what is coming, Hugo. Now pay attention, because this so-called useless child has somehow managed to attract the prince's full attention. With a wicked smile, the Duke lets them study together. Elena has to prepare herself for the chaos coming next. Yesterday, while returning from the Duke's study, Sirius confessed a massive secret. He actually does not know how to read. He is a royal prince. How has nobody taught him? Hearing this makes Elena so shocked she almost screams aloud. She sees the evidence of how badly Sirius was treated in the palace. Her heart sinks for the neglected boy. He wants her to teach him before the tutors arrive. She knows she should refuse for her own safety, but she wants to say no so badly, but she just cannot. That is why he is in her room early. It is the only place they will not be disturbed. She needs to teach him fast and then get away. Suddenly, he calls her teacher Elena, nearly giving her a heart attack. She is clearly uncomfortable with the new title. When she tells him, he pretends to sulk, but she knows he is just teasing her. Then he suggests something. He wants to speak casually, since it is better than formal titles. She reluctantly agrees to drop the royal honorifics. When she calls him by name, he brightens like the sun. So cute, maybe a bit manipulative, but very adorable. Elena does not get why she likes being casual with him. When evening comes, they finish their secret study session. She notices Sirius is a total genius. He managed to understand and memorize every single thing she taught him easily. One question is still bugging her. She asks him why he has suddenly decided to be so nice to her. He says it is because she is nice too. She tries to deny it, but he knows what she did. This behavior is so strange. In the original story, Sirius was suspicious of everyone, but she is his only exception. She praises him for bringing books to study on his own. He tells her it is proof of her teaching. He claims she will become a useful person. He emphasizes that if she wants to survive, she must stay useful. When he leaves, Elena admits she still cannot figure him out. Then she finds a note stuck in her book. The handwriting is messy and clearly from the prince. It says they must have a wonderful day together tomorrow too. Since spending time with him, she learned he can be cute, but he acts like a madman the very next. Her life is becoming way too difficult. She needs a new strategy to survive this boy and this manner. Sirius seems to think Elena is on his side. The problem is, she thinks staying near him is a death. To discourage him from spending time with her, she plans to act as useless as possible. It is her survival. Next time they meet, she asks him to play house. She thinks a prince would never play such childish games. You and I both know how this goes. She asks him to play house, thinking he will definitely say no. I have a feeling this will not end like you expect. Elena is stunned that he does not know the game. She explains that they will pretend to be a married couple, and Elena shows him exactly how they should act. They pretend to be married, and Elena calls him honey. That one little word makes the prince blush adorably. He immediately follows her lead, using the sweet nickname. Sirius is clearly enjoying having someone to be affectionate with. Eventually, the two of them end up lying on a mat together. Their hands are entwined as they rest there. Elena tells him the game is over when they open their eyes, but Sirius says the game was actually fun. How can she let a future killer who slaughters 10 fiancés call her honey? She is absolutely terrified for her life. At this point, she is seriously questioning if she really values her own life after making such a bold move. She decides to play in the field next. Trust me, you and I need to see what happens to her next. Stick with me. Elena heads off to see her brother Julian, who is in terrible shape after the beating Alaric gave him. Julian glares at her with pure hate, wondering why she even showed up. She is not there for small talk. She wants an apology. He mutters one out, but she pushes him to be sincere. He just snaps and turns away, saying her opinion does not matter. She warns her brother that he has been punished enough. But if Alaric realizes this apology is fake, Julian is in serious trouble. For his own sake, he better make it count. With tears in his eyes, Julian asks if she will truly forgive him this time. He just wants to know if he will be left alone if he is truly sorry. Looking at him now, Elena feels a sudden panic. Seeing him break down like this makes her realize something. Despite all the trouble he has caused, Julian is honestly just a scared child. She tells him to watch his step from now on. Next time he crosses the line, she will not be nearly as forgiving as today. He finally nods and offers a second apology. And this time around, well, it actually sounds like he finally means every single word. Later, Alina heads to their secret forest hideout. When she arrives, Alaric is waiting for her with a huge smile, clearly thrilled she came. He has been practicing his writing with a stick. Alina is actually quite impressed by how much his handwriting has improved in such time. She notices he wrote her name perfectly, but he messed up his own. She steps in to fix the spelling for him right away. But looking at his face, she realizes he did it on purpose. He just likes watching her write his name, talk about a charmer. For a boy destined for such destruction, he is surprisingly sweet to Our Lady Alina. He is being a total gentleman for once. He seems so happy as he edges closer to her. Before she can react, he kisses her cheek, and she turns bright red instantly. Instead of acknowledging the kiss, he just asks her what game they should play. He is acting so casual about the whole thing. He even suggests playing house again. It is getting harder to resist his charm, but she must keep up her act of being useless. She tells him she just wants to watch the ants. He is confused because that sounds boring, but he follows her like a puppy. Strangely enough, they both end up having a great time. I guess when you are a kid, even the smallest things can feel magical. When it is finally time to head home, she grabs his hand. She tries to ignore the way her heart is beating so fast. They wander through the forest together, marveling at the scenery. The world feels so big and beautiful when they are exploring it like this. Suddenly, Alaric spots something shimmering caught on a tree branch. When they get closer, they realize it is an old gold locket necklace. They find an old locket. Watch closely, because what they find inside is going to be a total shock for both of them. Inside is a portrait of a stunning woman with a name engraved beside it, the name Stacy Blair. Alina recognizes the name immediately. Alina suddenly takes off running, leaving a confused Alaric to chase after her. She knows that name, and she knows where she is going. She runs until she reaches the old graveyard. Grabbing Alaric's hand again, she leads him deep into the rows of silent, stone monuments. They stop right in front of a grave, marked with the name Stacy. Alina tells him quietly that this woman was actually her mother. Her mother died giving birth to her, and she always believed she was a nameless orphan. There were always whispers about her being illegitimate. The rumors said the Duke had a secret affair with a maid named Stacy. It was a scandal that the entire kingdom whispered about once. Whenever she asked the Duke about her, he just said she was an orphan. He clearly hated talking about it and always shut her down. Looking at the picture now, everything matches the rumors she heard. The woman in the locket has all the features of her beautiful mother. But there is one big problem. This woman has a last name. Did her father lie to her about her mother's entire past identity? Alaric pokes her face, saying she looks exactly like the woman. You and I can see the resemblance too, right? It is totally undeniable. She blushes like a tomato, but realizes he is right. She puts on the necklace, happy to finally have a piece of her mother. Then she tells him her new plan. She is going to leave this manor and travel the world to find out her mother's truth. Alaric is shocked she wants to run away, but he sees the fire in her eyes. He promises that he will help her escape. Later that evening, Duke Thornwood returns to the manor. He summons all of his children, including Alaric, to meet him in the Great Hall. To Lady Margaret's absolute fury, the Duke addresses them first. He even calls them by their proper names, which is very unusual for him. He introduces Viscount Dalton as their new tutor. Alina watches her father's strange behavior today with a sense of deep, growing suspicion. Suddenly, the Duke dismisses everyone except for Alina. She starts to panic internally as the large room clears out around her very quickly. She clings to Alaric's hand, terrified to let go. She is so scared of her father that she cannot even look him in the eye. He actually says she has had a hard time. Yeah, mostly because of you, you absolutely worthless excuse for a father in this kingdom. He says it in such a smug way, telling her he will give her what she deserves. He reaches out to touch her face. He touches her face, telling her to return to the manor. My hatred for him is like a bottomless pit, completely and utterly limitless. She flees from her evil father. You and I are definitely rooting for her escape, right? Because this family is just getting started. All right, you and I are about to see if this duke can actually win over his daughter's cold heart. But since he is her father, he's convinced she'll cave eventually. This arrogant man really thinks his little plan will go perfectly. Honestly, that handsome face won't save him if I decided to jump into the story myself and slap him right in the face. Meanwhile, Alina is wide awake. She is back at the estate, resting in a luxury room truly fit for a duke's daughter. To quiet her racing thoughts, she wanders into the drawing room, only to find Sirius already there. It seems neither can sleep. Neither can sleep. Sirius offers her milk and then just stares. Now watch this, his reaction is about to be so cute. He blushes, saying she looks adorable in her nightgown. Honestly, Sirius just cannot understand why he suddenly wants to hug her. The poor boy is totally lost. He wonders if someone being cute automatically makes you want to hold them close to you. Sirius realizes the Duke's sudden kindness is way too obvious. Luckily, Alina sees right through the act too. She is sharper than expected. He is so lost in thought that he misses Alina calling him. Once he snaps back, she brings up their upcoming private lessons. But inside, Alina is panicking. The plot is shifting, and these events were never in the original novel she once read. She has no memory of a Viscount Dalton as a family tutor. You might be wondering the same thing I am, is the story changing? Even if she cares for Sirius, she has to stick to her plan. Still, they decide to sleep in the parlor together tonight. Alina agrees instantly, and the two rush to grab every blanket and pillow right away. Eventually, they lie down, holding hands while staring up at the stars through the glass roof. Sirius turns to her, confessing how much he is looking forward to actually being able to play games together for real. With a bright and hopeful expression, she agrees. Maybe, just maybe, Sirius won't abandon her, no matter how useless she is. We are stopping here today. I know, you and I both want more, so don't forget to ask for part 2 below. Thank you guys for all the support and for watching. Please subscribe to the channel. It really helps us out a lot. Until the next one.